I was just looking for my Spock. I got him! Okay, so Star Trek The Search for Spock. First, before I even get into this review, I gotta ask, is Christopher Lloyd doing blackface through this entire movie? Because, like, I was watching it and I'm like, I'm pretty sure he is. Just, is he? Star Trek The Search for Spock. Racist! So this movie is, I don't know, it's fine. It's a fine out of 10. There you go. That's my review. You're welcome. It's a fine. It's not as good as The Wrath of Khan, but it's way better than the motion picture. So it falls kind of in this, like, weird middle ground of Trek movies. Now, for this movie, it does take place literally right after The Wrath of Khan. The Enterprise is on the way back to the space station to get, like, all patched up and shit. And that's where the movie comes in. Now, there's two big themes and, like, storylines going on in this movie. The first big one, and it doesn't even make any sense, is the Klingons. So, Captain Kruge, Captain Doc Brown over here is all like, we need to get the plans for the Genesis device. That's my, Christopher Lloyd impression, by the way. It's pretty good, right? I know, I've been working on it for a long time. Anyway, he's like, we need to find what makes the Genesis device tick. We have to go to the Genesis planet, set course for Genesis at 88 miles per hour. But it doesn't make sense because he already has the plans for the Genesis device. So he's going to the planet for, like, plot reasons. I don't even know why he goes there. Like, we have to learn the secrets of Genesis. But you have the plan already. Like, you literally were just looking at them before you set course. So that, to me, just didn't make really any sense. And I'll get more into his character because there's a couple great bits in this movie with him and Kirk. It's unreal. The second main story, and this is kind of the main story of this whole movie, is Kirk basically gets wind that Spock is alive on the Genesis planet. So he has to, like, get his crew, and they have to steal the Enterprise, go back to the Genesis planet. That's pretty much it. Like, that is the movie in a nutshell. It's very simple. Like, it's a lot simpler than the motion picture. It's not as long or complicated or deep as, say, The Wrath of Khan. It's just basically we have to steal our, like, own ship and go save Spock. There's your movie right there. Like, I just summed it up. We have to get Spock, get him back to Vulcan, get his essence put back into him. The end. It's a very simple movie. And I will say this, it's very well paced. I just watched it like half an hour ago, and it felt like the movie took like an hour. Like, it's a very well paced. It's not long. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend checking it out because it'll only take, it's not even 2 hours. You know, you have time to check this movie out if you haven't seen it. I do recommend checking it out. Now, let's talk about the characters in this movie. Again, we have the same crew. They're all the same people. So we're not going to spend too much time on this. Although I will say, as a little asterisk here, DeForest Kelley, who plays McCoy, gives a great performance because he has, like, Spock's essence or his katra inside of him. So he's going from, like, McCoy to Spock to McCoy to Spock. He gives a great performance in this movie. Again, we get Captain Kruge over here, who, like, it's just weird because this movie was, like, the first time that we saw new Klingons. Like, when you think about it, before this, the Klingons just looked like dudes, but now they have, like, the head ridges, and we see like a bird of prey for the first time. But the problem with them is they're kind of wacky. Like, they're kind of silly. There's a point where Kruge is on the Genesis planet, and he's fighting, like, a dick monster. It's this thing that, like, wraps around his fucking arm, does this shit, and he's like, great Scott! It's just, like, just weird. They're too silly to be Klingons, in my opinion. Like, he's always pulling his gun out and being like, say the wrong thing, McFly! It's just, I don't know. There's something not menacing about Kruge when you compare it to Khan. Of course, we get David back, who cares? But we get Saavik back, who's played by Robin Curtis, who's best known for playing Saavik and The Search for Spock. Like, she is fucking terrible in this movie. She gives this line where Kruge says, "The Genesis device worked perfectly." And then she's all, "The Genesis device was a failure." It's like she's doing Data and Sheldon in one character, but like horribly botching the character. It's just, I don't know why they didn't get Kirstie Allen back. She's the worst part of this movie. She's fucking terrible. They like, I know a lot of people complained about the like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, how they changed Rachel. At least they kind of look the same. Kirstie Allen and Curtis over here, like, don't even come close. Like, they didn't even change her hair. Like, she's got this big like perm thing. Whatever, just move on. Let's just keep going. Whatever. And of course, the last thing that I grade a movie on is the music. And this movie has a super forgettable theme. Like, the starting music sounds like it's from Cinderella. Like, it's like chimey and like whimsical. It doesn't fit this movie at all. And not to mention the fight at the end with Kruge and Kirk. There's zero music. There is zero music in this fight. It's just two old dudes like jostling around and shit. Just doing this. It's just they missed the mark when it came to the music in this movie. Not to mention during that end fight, Kirk kicks Kruge square in the dick. That's the Kirk maneuver. He just huffs him in the dick. Awesome. Now, the great thing with The Search for Spock is there are some big moments in this movie. Big moment number one for me is you get to see new Klingons. That's a big thing because you're introducing something that is used kind of throughout all the movies and even into the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine, Voyager, all that stuff. So it is a look that really stuck. So that's a big moment. You have to take into context when this movie came out. This was really the first time people were actually seeing something like this. It was cool. Like, it was new. It was interesting. Second big thing of this movie is David dies. Who cares? I don't even think Kirk cares. He's just like, "You killed my son, you bastards." And then he's over it. We're all over it. David dies. 10 out of 10. Who fucking cares? And of course, the last big thing that happens in this movie is the Enterprise blows up. Kirk activates the self-destruct, kills pretty much all the Klingon crew because they like board it, and then Kirk now has the bird of prey, which sets up the voyage home, which is like the last big thing that this movie does because they end up getting back to Vulcan. They put Spock's essence back into him, and Spock's fine. He comes out in like a white robe. He's like, "Yo, live long and prosper, bitches!" Like, he's Spock again. He's completely fine, and we're good. We've set up the voyage home, which, by the way, is a way better movie. So we're going to get into the voyage home soon, but those are kind of all the key points of this movie. Again, if you haven't seen it, it's fine. It's not terrible. It doesn't do anything like bad. It doesn't do anything great. It just kind of falls in the middle somewhere. Now, the big thing, or things that I would change in this movie or add to it was, I wanted to see more of a conflict between McCoy and Spock, because Spock's in McCoy, so they have like one really good scene where he's like in a bar and he's like talking to a dude, but he's going like through logic and has bones. He's like, "Damn it, Jim," and he's like, "Most illogical, damn it, Jim." And I wanted to see more of that, more conflict between these two characters. Although you kind of see like that they are really good friends, so if it works on that level. I just wanted more of it. Not to mention, I would change the Klingons like just mannerisms and stuff, because again, they're too goofy in this movie. Again, especially when Kruge is fighting like a dick monster and he's always petting his little dog. He's just like, "Oh, McFly, 1.21 gigawatts." And the last big thing that I would change in this movie is just the script. It has a very weak script. It's not word heavy. It's very simple, which is fine, but it has a lot of like not great lines in it. Again, with Kirk at the end, when the Enterprise is blown up, he's like, "My God, what have I done?" It's just lines like that, the delivery, and of course, "Klingon bastards, you killed my son." It's just not great. There's just not enough passion. Like, they killed his kid and he like barely gives a shit. Although I will say I give no shits because David sucks. So overall, The Search for Spock is fine. I give it a 6 out of 10. It's slightly above average just because it does have some big moments in there and it introduces new Klingons. And it's a simpler story. It's better paced. It's not as long, so it's above average. It's a 6 out of 10 or 6 out of Transwarp. Well, I gotta keep that joke going. Whatever. So if you at home have seen The Search for Spock, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Let me know what you liked, what you would change, what you would keep, and what your overall score of this movie was. But don't worry, we are getting to one of my favorite Star Trek movies, Star Trek The Voyage Home, which is going to be coming up next. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. Please feel free to leave a comment. And if you like this video, give me that old thumbs up. And I will see you all on the very next episode of Tender Gaming. We'll see you then. The Genesis device was a failure. Fuck, that's what you landed, like, out of all the takes, that's the one that, whatever.